everyone, and welcome to season 2 of the SA Wine Lockdown. We're on day 1, season 2, and today we've got 2 very special guests. We're going to be talking about wine trends, or 2 specific wine trends that are interesting. And the first one is Boots, and he's from De Krans Wines, and he'll be talking a little bit about his alcohol-free wine, which is quite interesting. And then we've also got Ben from Ben Wren Wine, and they do canned wine. So welcome, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us on this Friday afternoon.
Thanks for having us.
It's wonderful to be here.
Yes, and I can see you've got the wine lined up there, and I'm sure those people that are viewing are quite jealous, especially the ones that have run out of wine. I've heard a few people saying, you know, they're going to extreme levels now where they have to ask friends to sneakily hide wine in the bush, you know, so that they can at least have some wine, you know. So you see, guys, you've got to stock up, you know. When you go to a wine farm or you see the wine in the retailer, don't just buy one bottle, buy a case.
You'll be surprised how many friends you have.
Yeah. And Ben has just let me know earlier that he's actually ran out of red wine, so you're not alone.
It's luckily I've got the rosé and the Sauvignon Blanc, but I've got to admit I am very partial to the red, and I think there might be a couple of bottles upstairs, but the cans are gone.
Oh man, yeah, that must really suck to run out of wine. Well, red wine, but at least you've got backups. Well, and Boots actually lives in a cellar.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting with my bed there, but I'm 50 meters from the cellar, so I'm in a very, very lucky position to go there and get my wine and come back again on the same plot.
That's the wine life, hey? That is absolutely the wine life. And if you're watching and you have some questions for these wonderful gentlemen, then please do type it in the comments below, and we'll be only happy to answer you. Okay, so today is all about wine trends. So anything goes, de-alcoholized wine, free from alcohol wine. We've got canned wine. I know some people were talking about, you know, different styles of wine that's trending at the moment. But in my lockdown, I was quite interested to see that I've actually got quite a lot of alcohol-free or non-alcoholic wine as well as canned wine. Unfortunately, Ben, I don't have any of your wine, but I do have a canned wine, so you'll be proud of me. I still have canned wine at home, but sorry, it's not your brand, but I do have to stock up on that. And I've got this vintage, and it's a Shiraz, so it's got quite a cute little label with a little elephant. So I found that in the house, and I also found a Van Leeuwen, and this is an almost zero rosé. And then I've also got a bubbly, which is by Robertson. It's also alcohol free. So quite interesting. I'm going to be sipping on those as we talk. And Boots, what have you got on your table this evening?
Well, I had to bring the whole family because I mean, I'm going to talk about this one today, which is not really a wine. We call it the alcohol-free Muscat Nectar, but we discuss that later. But this is actually the child of the husband and wife, the white Moscato and the red Moscato. You know, the whole thing of Moscato started in Italy many hundreds of years ago, and then it was brought back into fashion about 10 years ago by the US. And actually, the rappers even made songs about Moscato. If you go and Google it, some nice beats in there. So that's where we came from, the Perle Moscato. And then, you know, I saw there's a place in the market for a non-alcoholic or alcohol-free wine, which is very much similar to Moscato.
Yeah, very interesting, and a beautiful red color, that one in the middle. I've personally tasted that one before, and if you like sweeter wines, then absolutely this is definitely the wine for you. And Ben, what have you got this evening?
Well, I'm drinking the Sauvignon Blanc, so it's our 2019 Sauvignon Blanc. On my desk, I've also got the rosé and the bubbly rosé, but I thought I'd work my way through the Sauvignon Blanc, as I've got lots of it.
That's great. And, you know, both of you have really very modern labels. You know, I love the colors, I love the clean lines. And, so thank you very much for sharing your wines with us this evening. Okay, I've got a question, and I'm sure a lot of people want to know, and this one is for you. And many people say that no alcohol in wine is just grape juice. But that's not really true, is it? So maybe you could explain to us the difference between what is de-alcoholized or alcohol-free wine and how is it made? I think that would be quite interesting to know.
Yeah, I think the one that you showed there, they are good friends of mine, Van Wilkeren, with their Almost Zero. That is a typical example of a de-alcoholized wine. And a de-alcoholized wine is basically made as a wine. It's fermented. The sugar converts into alcohol and all the lovely flavors in the wine. And then what they do is they use a process called vacuum distilling or reverse osmosis to get rid of the alcohol. So they bring the alcohol down, and the alcohol needs to be lower than 0.5%, 0.5% alcohol. But then it's a de-alcoholized wine. So it has been a wine, but it became a de-alcoholized and is now a de-alcoholized wine. The only problem with the de-alcoholized wine is that you lose a lot of flavor in the whole process, and you will definitely taste that in de-alcoholized wines. I had a discussion the other day with my Dutch importer, whom I really badly need to send wine to, which I can't do either now. And he's looking for de-alcoholized wine, but he said that so far he hasn't really tasted very good wines from de-alcoholized wines. So there's a little bit of I think we still need to do a bit of work on de-alcoholized wines to do it in a proper way. Especially if you compare it to de-alcoholized beer, I think some of those beers are quite good already. So we've got some work to do. So that is the one part of it, de-alcoholized wine, and then the one that we have is an alcohol-free wine. So this is not really a wine. This is the basis is a grape juice. So you will just crush the grapes. You get the grape juice, and then if you call it a nectar, then you must add some water, or you must take some of the sugar out of it to bring the total sugar down. So in this case, the sugar would be about 100 grams, 110 grams per liter of sugar, but with a nice acidity and a good balance. So it's not a wine, but it's a very refreshing wine, and because it's got Palais in there, nice bubbles in there, it's a nice wine to drink. And the reason why we made it is, I read an article sort of end of last year. In the UK, you find now that between 18 and 35 age, there's about 29% of people that don't drink any alcohol anymore, which is scary, but I mean, that's the truth. And I think that is, hopefully it will get less after the lockdown, the people that don't drink alcohol, but there's definitely people that don't drink alcohol and like something else. And then obviously, with the drink and driving laws in South Africa, I think wine without alcohol is very important for the designated driver, or when the woman is pregnant or something like that. So there is definitely a place for a de-alcoholized wine or a non-alcoholic product.
Yeah, and there's something elegant also about drinking kind of grape juice from a beautiful glass bottle. People may think you are drinking wine, and in fact, it hasn't got any alcohol in it, which is great, especially if you are health conscious. And that's exactly what you said. But there's this trend that people are trying to be more health conscious and cutting alcohol out of their life. This is a great kind of alternative, And I loved how you explained the difference between de-alcoholized and alcohol-free. I can definitely taste that, the flavor was lost in the Van Wilkeren Rosé de-alcoholized. But having said that, I still think it's very refreshing, cool it down, chill it, have it with ice. It has got that dry kind of rosé kind of feel to it. So again, it's quite interesting. And then on your side, but what you're saying is you've got kind of like a very nice grape juice that's got a little bit of a bubble to it. So I also think that's nice if you're more inclined to kind of more on the sweeter side of things. I also think that's quite an elegant wine to enjoy if you don't want alcohol.
Yes, but it's important if you don't use the grape juice as it is, to break it down a little bit or to get rid of some of the sugar in it. And in that sense, the balance of the product gets a lot better.
Yeah, so it's all about kind of the balance of the wine, that it's not grape juice per se. You have kind of evolved it into more of an elegant kind of tasting style. That's lovely, very nice. Yeah. Thank you for explaining. And if you're watching and you have some more questions on de-alcoholized or alcohol-free wine, then please do ask in the comments below and we'll be happy to answer you. To canned wine. It's another trend that's hitting the market. We've moved on kind of from the health trend. We're trying to cut out alcohol in our lives, but maybe another trend that's come to South Africa hugely, especially in the last year, is canned wine. And maybe you could explain a little bit to us, why is canned wine so cool?
Well, cans really have only been around in the last 6 months. So it really is new. It's the big retailers have only really taken on board over the last 3 or 4 months. But cans, we don't directly compete with bottles. Cans are around convenience and probably more about sort of being good to the environment as well. So they really fit into a lifestyle. So people who are buying canned wines right now, most of them are sort of under the age of 35. I think we could even call them sort of millennials. And they don't have the historic relationship with super top-end wines. And what's really important for these guys is the environmental side. So they want a product that is modern, that tastes great, good value, but also has got lower carbon footprints. And I think that's where the cans are really good. They're 100% aluminium. They're easy to recycle. So they are fast to cool down in the fridge, much faster than glass. And they're just really convenient to travel with. So if you're heading off for the weekend, camping, weekend breaking, braais, around the pool, and do you know what? You might not want to take glass on a camping trip, then cans are really convenient. So yeah, I'd say we could sort of define it as a new sector within the sort of wine category. But it's brand new. Literally, we have very little data from South Africa on wine can sales. We look internationally of what's happening, the trends. But it's been so successful overseas that people are really getting behind it. And sales are really good until lockdown.
I know, that's part of the horrible part, hey? And we heard today that not only wine sales are stopped, but they've now put a stop to exports as well. And shame, I heard about the poor, distillers as well that are still having to pay SARS even though they are not trading. And yeah, we're in quite a bit of a pickle at the moment, which is why we're having these talks, to talk about positive things and interesting things, and keep the industry alive, and encouraging you guys to drink your wine, because once lockdown is over, let's hope that you ran out of wine and you need to restock your cellar. Am I right?
Yeah. You'd be surprised how many friends and Facebook people on the Ben Ren Wine Facebook account are now messaging me going, we kind of know you live in the Western Cape, but could we just put some money through your letterbox and can we just have a case? And it's just like, it took me about 8 months to get a liquor license. I'm not going to throw it away that quickly.
Yeah, it does take long to get a liquor license. You're right. And, a lot of people are saying, they ran out of wine. They don't know what to do. They are kind of, going like the black market, as they call it. Well, guys, it's your own fault. You should have supported the industry more before lockdown, I'm never going to run out of wine. I've got so many boxes. And Butz, you're lucky to live by the cellar, so you could literally be drinking the wine out the barrel. Lucky you. I'm sure we're all jealous.
Yeah, I had a very nice tasting yesterday afternoon with our winemaker. And it was so rewarding to taste through the 2020 vintage and all the different wines and styles, and also the port style wines for which we are well known for. So it was, I think, on a different note, I think 2020 is going to be a very good year for wine. So the wine drinkers can look forward to 2020.
Yes, I heard that this is such a good vintage. So I really can't wait for lockdown to be over and for the 2020 wines to be released.
Yeah, we had a little bit of rosé. We make a very nice Pinotage rosé, and we had a little bit of that bottled the first week in March, just to get it onto the shelves. And luckily we did, because now the problem is you can't really bottle wines either. Even if you have the market, you first have to bottle and then get it exported. So at least we've got a bit of that, and it's so much flavors in the 2020 wines that it's going to be a good year. Just need to get it on the.
We got the same feedback. So I work with Attilo from Obstal Estate, and he's got all the 2020 wines ready to go. And he said exactly the same. He said 2020, there's a really nice quality of wine coming through. So yeah, no, we're quite excited to get them in a can as well.
They are, absolutely. And Ben, you spoke a little bit about canned wines being so convenient. And I've got a very cool question here from Gerard, and he's asking, do you see wine in a can being drunk straight from the can, or will people decant it?
Do you know, I get asked that question a lot. And
do you?
It's, there's two schools completely. There are some people that drink from a can and go, I can taste a tinny taste to the wine and we don't like it. And other people will go, I'm just going to put it into a glass. So personally, I don't get any of the aluminium tinniness at all when I drink from a can. But actually, it's a glass of wine. Unless I'm round a braai or something and I'm drinking sort of from a can, I tend to put it into a glass. And I do think when you put it into a glass, you can sort of open the wine up a little bit more. And it's personally, I would actually decant it into a glass, but there is no problem drinking from a can. It depends where you are, what you're doing. I also looked at getting, have you seen those really nice glass straws you can get?
Yes.
I was going to buy a load of those straws. So I sell through my website, and I was going to say, if you buy sort of 24, I'll give you sort of a really nice glass straw as well. I was looking into things like that, but then I just thought, God, it's just so going to get broken in the post.
Oh man, yeah, it would probably. Hey,
I think with so many people now having bamboo straws, glass straws, that could be something in the middle. But personally,
even stainless steel.
Yeah, personally, I would pour it into a glass and drink it from a glass. But if needs must, drink it straight from the can.
Yeah, that's what I've done. I've got a can here of Vinette Shiraz, and I decanted it. I think it's just something in my mindset that I don't want to feel like I'm drinking a Coke, And it's just convenient just to open it quickly and pour your glass. And also, it's nice to know that I still have more afterwards.
I can manage to get 250 ml in a glass quite easily.
I do have quite a small glass with me this evening because I do have 3 wines that I'm tasting, so I don't want to go overboard. Okay, so the next question I have for you guys is about shelf life, and this might be a little bit of a difficult one. And with regular wine, we talk about aging the wine and storing it correctly. And my question is, can one age, maybe for Boots first, can one age non-alcohol wine or alcohol-free wine? And then maybe you can also just shed light on canned wine, or do you have to drink it immediately?
I think if you think about aging a wine, you must first think what are the most important factors that actually is good for a wine to age. And the first one is the alcohol in the wine. If there's alcohol, that's a preservative, so the wine will definitely age better with alcohol in it than without alcohol. The second one is the pH of the wine. It's also very important. And then in the case of red wines, the tannin in the wine is also some indication of how well the wine will mature. And then the last one is the sulfites or the sulfur dioxide in the wine. The more you have, the longer the wine should keep theoretically. So I think for these wines, for the alcohol-free wines or the alcohol-free products, and maybe for the canned wines, they're not really made, in my point of view, to be kept in your cellar and drink them 10 years later. I think both of them will last at least a year or maybe longer, but it's not something that you will keep and drink 5 or 10 years later.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. What do you think, Ben?
No, I agree. Canned wine is about popping down to Pick and Pay, getting some cans, going on a camping trip and drinking them. We went through all the shelf life testing with our cans, so we can officially put 12 months sell-by date on them, but we can every 3 to 4 months, and we want to keep the wine as fresh as possible. So it's even when we look in overseas markets, not many people will put more than 12 months on a can. So I think, no, definitely you buy them, you drink them. And also there's different types of wine that suits cans better. So even in sort of South Africa and overseas, just by the nature of a can, the rosés and the white wines, the Sauvignon Blancs and the Chenin sell better than reds. And the reds, tannins don't really go well in a can. So we try to sort of avoid any sort of aging of grapes. So you'll find even, we're going to put 2020 in reds into a can, and they're going to be more light in style. So we lighter reds, whites, rosés just suit cans better.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Ben, are you going to be looking at any interesting varietals in the near future, or are you going to stick to kind of what you have?
And we're going to add Chenin to the range. So
Chenin.
we literally, we've got it all ready to go. Literally, I was chatting to Atty 2 days ago. He's got it all in tanks. So we're going to do about, I think it's just under 10,000 litres of canning as soon as possible. So as soon as we're allowed to can, we're going to can. And we're going to do more bubbly rosé, Sauvignon Blanc, and we won't do any more red right now because we've got a few pallets in storage, and we're going to introduce a Chenin. So
nice.
Atty Obstall's quite famous for his Chenins, so I think it's time to showcase his Chenins in a can as well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, Chenin is my favorite grape varietal. If I have to choose, it would definitely be a Chenin. So I'd be very interested to try that. Yeah. And Ben, from the past few weeks, I've heard people saying, they would absolutely love to try Cinsault in a bottle, in a can. Would you ever do something like that?
Okay. I haven't done 100%. Our red is a blend of Cabernet and Cinsault.
Would you do it straight?
Oh, I don't know. I think that would be quite daring to do it. I think that my problem is, could I sell enough of it where I'd have to do a minimum 1,000 litres, so 4,000 cans.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I don't really, that's why I kind of can quite often. I like sort of canning sort of lower runs and doing them more frequently. I don't know if, so I don't have a contract right now for Cinsault, but what I would do is get some feedback from the market, and if there's a demand, I'll do it. I think also Cinsault, you've got to have a really good Cinsault.
Yeah, you do.
So I've tasted a few 100% Cinsauts at probably the small bottom end of the market that kind of made me cringe a little. But then you sort of go in and you sort of spend some better money on a bottle, and they're really tasty. So Cinsault is one of those wines I really like because it's quite light. But I don't know. I probably won't put it in a can straight away. Our red has got 30% Cinsault in it, and we might even up that a little bit more.
Nice.
Yeah, because it really sort of lightens up the cab a bit.
Yeah, that sounds like really nice and light and fruity full. And Greg's also saying, what about a Grenache? There's another idea for you.
yeah, I'm a big Grenache fan. But again, it's going to just come down to minimum orders, where I think I've got the largest range already in a can. So I'm already right out there with bubbly rosé, Sauvignon Blanc, Chenin, Sauvignon. So I think I really sort of need to sort of focus on what I've got right now. But crumbs, I'd love to put a Grenache in a can. I saw the boys at Black Elephant to put a Pinot in a can. I thought that was pretty daring.
So, yeah.
Maybe you can twist their arm to do it. But
maybe they'll do it, yeah. Very interesting. And tell me, Ben, where can people buy your wine after lockdown, and what is the retail price?
So we're in about 56 pick and pays right now across predominantly Joburg and Cape Town at $30 a can. So that is probably, if you're in Joburg, the best place to go. In Cape Town, we've got some smaller outlets as well in liquor stores around Cape Town. And you can buy on my online website as well. So I think for most people to find the wine, it's probably easiest just to go into Pick and Pay.
Yeah, it's convenient too.
Yeah, and I believe just before lockdown, they did a promotion as well. I don't know if, I don't even know if it started.
Oh,
so I know we signed off this lovely promotion. So Pick and Pay took a range of cans, and we were on shelf for about 3 weeks. And then there was going to be a really decent promotion. So I think I am the cheapest at $30, and they were going to do for 3 weeks down to 25. That 25 rand our cans would just fly. I mean, that is just insanely good value. So
yeah, it is.
I don't know.
Because if you think about it, it's 2 glasses of wine for 25 rand, $30. Do you get 2 glasses of wine out of a can?
Yeah, it's 3 cans in a bottle. So even at $30, we are 90 rand a bottle. But that's 75 rand. It's great value. So
yeah, it is great.
It would be nice when we're back up and running if we could run that promotion again.
Yes, absolutely. And Boots, tell us a little bit about the Krans. Where can people buy your wines, and what is the retail price?
With the alcohol-free Muscat Nectar, we were more or less in the same boat as Ben, because we launched that on the first week in March this year. So this is really only available from the farm. I mean, it's been shown to all the chains, Pick n Pay, Checkers, and Ultra, and wherever. It is listed at Tops, so I think it's going to get into Tops quite soon. But and into the other mentioned places as well. But for the moment, I think the best would be to get this one to get it from our website, thekrans.co.za. But the other two are you can see it everywhere. It's in Checkers, Pick n Pay, Ultra, Liquor City, Tops, wherever. So those 2 wines are our bread and butter wines, as we call it. So they are doing exceptionally well all over. But if you want something, or if you want this wine, it's best to buy from our website. But also, I would like to invite people to have a look on our website and maybe become a wine club member. Because if you become a wine club member, then you can get a 20% discount on the wine and free delivery if you buy more than a certain amount of wine. So it's something to really think about now. And when we get the green light and we can sell wine again, wine could be off to them.
Yeah, and that's great advice. I actually give that advice to most people. Sign up to the wine club for the wines that you really love, because you will get better deals. And most of the time, to belong to the wine club, all it requires is that you buy wine. So it's, there's no membership fees and things like that. I don't know if you charge membership fees, Boots.
No, we don't have any membership fees now.
Yeah, it's literally you just support the wine brand.
You mentioned the price. These wines are selling, the 2 wines are selling for about 69 rand a bottle. And this will be going for about 59 rand, the alcohol free. So yeah, it's well-priced wines. Yeah,
so quite a lot of value you're getting there in the bottle. And Boots, tell us a little bit about the taste of this wine. It is a little bit on the sweeter side. Maybe not a lot of people know the grape varietal. So maybe you can explain to us what the wines taste like. We will do a virtual tasting with you.
Maybe I should taste it for a change myself, because I've been drinking a little bit more alcohol wines than non-alcoholic wines in the last 2 weeks. But,
yeah, we all did it during this lockdown, eh?
Yeah, it's got a beautiful green-yellow color, and that is a healthy color. As soon as you have a little bit of greenness in the color, then it's a healthy thing. Just talking about that, whether you should taste from the can or from the glass. If you taste the wine, you look at the color and you look at the taste, and then you take or you look at or you smell the wine, you get the aromas of the wine, and then you get the taste. So it's important to see what you're drinking. That's just my point of view. But in this product, Muscat Nectar, it's beautiful Muscat, tropical fruit flavors, lychee, and then this nice acidity that cuts through the wine, that it doesn't taste overly sweet. And it's got that beautiful Muscat that comes through on the taste as well. So what you're smelling, you're also getting through on the taste. And it's actually a very refreshing wine or product or drink. And if you make it ice cold, it's really beautiful. So you can have this with breakfast.
A nice breakfast wine.
I think what I would recommend is a nice summer salad. You can have it with cold meats or just a light dish. And this will also go very well with a mild curry, because the Muscat flavors and curry work very, very well together. These 2 wines as well, they also do exceptionally well with curry or spicy food.
Yeah, and I think especially going into winter, we are going to start making more curries, especially now during lockdown. I don't know about you guys, but my food and electricity bill has shot through the roof. It's because we are home all the time and we're cooking all the time because we can't go out anywhere. I'm not too sure if it's good for the waistline, but if you guys enjoy curry, then definitely try this amazing wine once lockdown is over. That would be incredible. And I like the idea for breakfast too. It's quite interesting. And Greg is also saying, with breakfast, this changes things, I must say.
We always say the other two wines with the two Moscatos, they have alcohol of about 7.5% to 8% alcohol, which is quite low as well.
Yeah, that is low.
I would say you can go for a brunch, but I wouldn't recommend it with breakfast. This one, I think you can safely drink it.
Oh, that's funny. But Ben, tell us a little bit about your wines and the taste and just what food would pair really nice with it.
Well, I've got the Sauvignon Blanc here. It's a very typical easy drinking 2019 Sauvignon Blanc. So on the nose, you've always got the sort of the tropical fruits. You've got the gooseberries, the pears, pineapple, and even maybe crushed nettle. But it's a very much sort of an easy drinking wine. I think if you're really, really into wine and you've got a special occasion, you're always going to buy a bottle. So we're kind of in that sort of clean, fresh. It's got a nice structured sort of mid-palate, balanced acidity, but it is one of those sort of fresh, easy drinking, take it anywhere kind of wine. So when we pair it up, I'm probably the only wine brand out there that removed from the label anything about pairing it with food, because I just picked up, if I pick up any wine, it says I've got a Sauvignon Blanc, it goes well with fish and pasta. If I pick up a red, it just tells me it goes with red meat, and it drives me potty. It literally drives me mad. So we just didn't put it on there because at the end of the day, I'm not selling a 300 rand bottle of wine. I'm selling convenience. I'm selling, you're going to a braai with mates, you're going on a camping trip, and these people just want to have a couple of cans of wine or a couple of glasses of wine. So we say, instead of pairing with food, we pair with great mates. So it's and so you might be at a braai. So do you know what goes well with chicken on a braai? If you are doing something else, it can be used at any occasion. So even in the evening, I quite like my reds. So I'll have a can of the red, and the missus will have a can of the Sauvignon Blanc. So it is one of those wines that can pair with any occasion. It can pair with any company, but I pair it with good mates and a good time.
I'm really loving this conversation. Boots, you're saying, enjoy the wine, have it with breakfast, curry. And Ben, you're saying, it doesn't matter, just get together, just enjoy the wine. And I really love that. And I think that's what makes wine trends so interesting, is that let's throw the rules out the window. Let's explore, let's try new things. And that's what I really love about this topic for today. If you haven't tried canned wine and you're going, oh, I would never, just try it. Just try it. And the same goes, for alcohol-free wine. If you've never tried it, how can you say you don't like it? So try it, explore new things. And Astrid's saying you compare it with socializing. I like that. That's exactly what we're saying. She's saying that she likes your thinking, so thank you very much for that. And Pippa over here is saying tonight's weather would be perfect for curry and de Krans alcohol-free Muscat. And I have to agree with you. As you're talking about this curry and this beautiful, sweet kind of wine, or not overly sweet, but nicely balanced, as you said. I think it would go so lovely this evening. I would really enjoy that. And the same goes, for a Sauvignon Blanc and a nice, chicken braai. I mean, I'm missing socializing, I must say. And when we're talking about wine trends, there are many wine trends. We've heard of, upcycling and recycling, and we've heard of, vegan wines and all these type of new trends. And Butz and Ben, maybe you can explain a little bit, what are the trends that you've kind of heard about? And yeah, maybe we could just talk about the other trends that's happening in the industry.
Well, I think vegan is definitely something that is a trend. The only problem is to become vegan. You have to, or your wine sort of certified as a vegan wine. It's a lot of schlep, and it's a lot of cost as well. To go through all that. So I think a lot of us, we already make vegan wines. Just to maybe tell the viewers, if you talk about vegan wines, it's basically anything that, like casein, which is made from milk, like egg white, like gelatin, which is from animals. If you do fining, if you take out the tannins or whatever in a wine, but that, then you can't call it a vegan wine anymore. So, but in the end, it goes to the bottom of the tank or the barrel, and you will filter it as well. So it doesn't really get into the wine. But those are the sort of guidelines that when you call it vegan. So I think vegan is becoming important, but it will definitely come at a little bit of a cost to the consumer, because you will have to go through all the certification processes to call it a vegan wine. In our case, I think. But one of our wines, they're all vegan wines at the moment, but we can't say it on the label because it's not certified as vegan.
And yeah, that's also interesting.
Yeah, the other thing that I think is important, we talk about that far too little in South Africa, is our IPW system, the integrated production of wine, the bus ticket or the certification ticket seal. That it's a wonderful. We're talking about sustainability. Yeah, that one there. Yeah, if we talk about sustainability and we talk about integrity and all of that, and I think if you go through the IPW audits, which we have to undergo every third year, the consumers can be very sure that what the South African wine production, the whole South African wine industry is doing is exceptional, and I mean that's about 97%. If I'm not mistaken, of the whole industry. So we just need to talk about that more and tell people that we are actually doing the best that we can, that our children and their children and grandchildren can still farm sustainable and still do the right things.
Yeah, and I suppose that's another trend as well, but it's about sustainability.
Yeah, sustainability is very important, and with the IPW system, everything that you do, you get measured on your sustainability. The amount of CO2 that you release into the air, what are you doing to counteract that? What are you doing with basically everything is checked, not only in the cellar but also in the vineyards as well. And you must get, I think, 60% mark. To put that the seal on your bottle. So it's quite a strict certification process.
Yeah, and Ben, do you have any kind of trends that you've heard of overseas or ones that are emerging in South Africa that you could maybe also just point out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm 100% behind the sustainability. If you've ever actually put 4,000 bus stickers on cans over a few days, you can really appreciate it. But also, I think it goes a bit further, where I've seen so many wine farms looking at alternative packaging to make it more eco-friendly. I've seen solar panels going all over vineyards now. So it is not only sort of the grapes, it's from sort of grape to sort of store as well, about how can wine farms sort of be more sustainable. I also think one of the biggest trends you sort of nailed today is alcohol-free and cans, sort of a huge topic right now. One other that I really got is cannabis infused, where I think it's one of those trends that people are really sort of investigating cannabis more. And even we are asked to develop a cannabis infused wine. So it wasn't for South Africa. I don't think in South Africa we'd allow legally to even do it. It's for Japan. But you're seeing so many RTDs and cans particularly just putting cannabis in them as well. And I think that is one of the sort of 2020 trends that's happening.
Oh, that's super interesting. I actually haven't heard of that. I've heard of cannabis infused everything else, but never wine. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's something I'd like to.
I didn't. I thought it sounded absolutely terrible. But
well, that's what Greg says. Greg has been trolling me the whole day. He's saying everything that we've said this evening is horrible. About he's like skeptical about alcohol-free wine and canned wine. But I think we're changing him over today. So thank you for watching, Greg. Now, yeah, cannabis infused. It tastes horrible. He's tried it, so that's cool.
It was a distributor in Japan. Just said, look, we've done a market analysis. We think there's a really good market for cannabis-infused wine. And they actually paid us to develop it for them in their market. And then as soon as we had lockdown, everything's on hold. So we've actually got it all ready to go. We got some guys on board to actually put it in the wine for us. We went through all the testing, and you couldn't taste it at all in the wine. And I got to admit, I tried a few of it, and it didn't really sort of even affect me too much. So I'm not quite sure of the sort of the big benefits of it. It's meant to sort of relax you in the evening. I kind of think that if I have a couple of cans of wine or a bottle of wine, I tend to get more relaxed in the evening. But we actually also put it in alcohol-free wine, because in South Africa, we're not allowed to put it in alcohol wine, but in several markets, we're allowed to put it into dealcoholized wine. So we did a lot of work on that as well, which was interesting. So you never know. Later in the year, you might just see Benren wine with cannabis in it.
The world is your oyster, and especially the youth that is growing up, coming up with such creative kind of ideas, and I think that's what makes life interesting. And I'm sure, like after the lockdown, we are going to have to find ways to kind of expand our wine offering and really push sales to make up for this last month of April. It really has affected our industry in a negative way. And I'm really hoping that everyone will, as soon as the lockdown's over, they'll just climb into those sales, and sales will just skyrocket. I really hope so.
Me too.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the week before lockdown was insane.
Positive.
Yeah, the month before lockdown was our best month ever. So
there you go.
In that week before lockdown, everybody just bought alcohol, and they probably didn't even buy enough. But I mean, we sold over 6,000 cans just in that
that's
week.
Incredible.
So for us, it was a great month of trading. Unfortunately, we're probably going to have a month or two of no trading, but we've now got to restock all those shelves as well. So we're hoping that with some big orders are going to come through quite quickly.
Yeah. And if you're watching from overseas and you're not sure what we're talking about, yes, unfortunately, lockdown in South Africa means no alcohol, no cigarettes, and no exports of alcohol. So it is a horrible time for the wine industry at the moment, and we are waiting patiently, and we are trying to keep positive. We are asking everyone that enjoys wine, drink your wine now during lockdown and restock once lockdown is lifted. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for the chat this evening. We are nearing 5:00, and I hope you enjoy dinner this evening, whether you're having a beautiful curry or a chicken braai. I'm sure it will be lovely, and enjoy it with. Hopefully, you're not in lockdown alone.
Thank you very much. It was an honor to be on the show, and I really enjoyed it. And Ben, I'll have a bottle of red wine just for your sake tonight, and think of you.
Oh, that's just mean.
Out the barrel.
Yeah, I think I've got some Sauvignon. I don't really fancy rosé at about 8:00 this evening, to be honest.
Oh man, that really sucks.
I've got some beers as well, so I'm fine.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for joining. And to those of you that were watching, thank you very much for your questions. I hope you have a good evening.
Yeah. Bye.